You can threaten parts of YouTube.
In the comments section, I guess like that could be construed as threatening people, though. I don't know.
Shut up.
He said what he said.
Hey, look, we're live.
Oh, thank God.
Are we actually?
Yeah.
I was gonna go back to Diablo.
Yeah,
for a
we're just
second.
randomly live as Joe's like, whatever. And I'm just like looking at stuff, trying to get stuff figured out. Yeah, look at that. We're live.
Paul, you can stop playing Diablo now.
Jesus Christ.
Nah.
So, for the record, anyone who's watching this after the live stream happens, jump ahead 15 minutes for our reviews of just some things, some fun things.
Some random stuff.
I'm not sure what Black Frost's comment means. It just reads WTF Paul ? Exclamation point, exclamation point.
Yeah.
Not sure what he's talking about.
No,
Pretty sure.
You have no idea. You're totally stumped, huh?
Diablo might come into play on this one. I'm just saying. Like,
I feel like we don't even need to go that far to look for an answer here.
Diablo jealousy? Or is that what we're going with here?
Well,
no, you're just doing a live stream. God damn it.
Nah.
Well, we think we are. Joe still has no idea, honestly.
No, I mean, I gave
He's
up
still unsure. He can't see comments. He can't see video.
Hey, I can actually see Ben and Black Frost.
I was going to say, speaking of comments.
Wow.
I can actually see people. What the hell? That's great. Okay, this is the first time in like 2-3 weeks I've actually been able to see the comments. That's nice.
Well, that's a start. That's a start.
Sometimes they appear later in the stream, but at that point, I've grown tired of the comments. I don't care at that point. I do.
Ben, Paul, what you carrying? I have a good idea of what Black Frost. Oh, you're Paul. I don't know. Jeez, I can't keep up. God damn. Black Frost, Ben, Dick Richards. What's everyone carrying?
I can't keep these two names straight.
Oh, man.
Reminding me of my grandma when she calls me by my cousin's name and calls him by my name.
Oh, I did it all weekend long. It's good times. For the record, went camping this weekend. Little foggy.
We'll give you a little slack, I guess.
Nah. Dick Richards.
Did you ever get to the part wherever you just kind of rattle through everyone's name until you get to the name that's like, yeah, that's the correct one?
Oh, I have a couple times. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I was also trying. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, I want you to both know I have officially closed Diablo. It's done.
Hey, hold on.
You interrupted me for that bullshit.
Yeah.
You know, I have you.
And then I let you go ahead. Like.
So it's going to be that kind of night tonight, folks. In case you weren't aware, we're not reviewing a new product per se. So we're reviewing some cool old shit.
Indeed.
So yeah, speaking of fogginess, I was trying to read some dad jokes and catch up on the weekend because I was out in the woods for this past couple days here, and I was having a hard time getting it. So you knew that it's like I don't know how to tell this joke. This joke's weird. Someone else read it.
All right, so that's. I'm gonna get on your level.
I got it. I got the joke, and I've had 0 of this. This is
Getting started. Yeah.
I might as well. There's nowhere to go but down from here.
Oh God. Yeah.
Up from here? I don't know where we are. That's could be rock bottom. Who knows?
All right, boys, break out the shovels.
Dig up. Just dig up.
He just got back from 10 days in the bush.
Ah.
Infinite Gunworks just got back from 10 days of day camp on Friday. He is dead. Dead DED for the record.
Yeah, no, I got you. I didn't even need to visually check to understand that's exactly what he had written.
Camp this year is glorious. Not as glorious as Paul's background, but eventually Paul's gonna lean backwards and Paul's just gonna become Paul for a second or two. Yeah. And then
Oh,
Oh.
you know,
oh,
he's gonna
no.
fall over. You're gonna see legs. You're gonna kick yourself in the face, Paul.
No, I won't. I can't disappear.
That's
All right.
right.
Am I the only one that didn't put up a pic of something that we're gonna talk about?
I think so.
Joe, are you that asshole that took a picture of something that we're gonna talk about tonight?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. It's related.
Oh, okay.
Mine's directly.
Well, I went camping, so let me go first. Why not? Why not?
Yeah. All right.
So,
Let me pull up your picture then. Yeah. There's this.
and we got 9 minutes to go through this because we already bullshitted for 6, and we didn't even know we were live for 2. So, like, it's
Don't worry about it. All right. It's
that's
it's
the
fine.
kind of show we're working with here.
It's fine. Don't worry about it.
So, in the woods all weekend long, and I wanted to try something new. I tested myself a little bit. You know the saying about the hardest decision is the knife that you will take into the woods? Well, I went a
Hmm?
different route this time, and I decided to just go with one single tool.
This
And
one.
I reprofiled a handle, I recontoured, I shaped and made my own. The shape of it is I don't even have it here. It's somewhere else. I don't know.
It's packed up.
It's small.
Yeah.
It's me. There's an onion beside it for reference. Jesus Christ. It's like it's not
Was
a
that-
dragon. I should have put a dragonfly in there for a relevant size.
Yeah.
Was
reference,
that
but yeah.
onion chopped with
100%. This is the only
Gotcha.
tool I use to cut anything, whether it was paracord, whether it was food, whether
So-
it was.
And for those of you that may think, oh, isn't an axe kind of the wrong tool to slice through onions? Take a close look at the side of that axe.
Yeah, that let's get some good grind to it.
This is a
I've-
reprofiled axe king hatchet, which comes down to a pretty thin edge to begin with for an axe.
I was told it was the best limbing tool that my buddy had ever used in his life. He's like, if you're just
Okay.
delimbing trees, this thing just is like, it just shears things out of the way.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous on how good it works, right?
Better than the machete.
I would probably say neck and neck with the machete.
Okay,
I would say,
cool.
yeah. I think this thing's got the edge because the weight is concentrated in a more
Yep.
focused area. But either way, yeah. I will say, as far as damage and doing ridiculous things with it, it does not take damage. I had to resharpen it twice throughout the weekend.
Okay.
One of those things was throwing it over the branch to use for the bear bag because
Wow.
we didn't have anything else. So I tied it and threw it over a tree. So yeah,
That
it took
sounds
a little.
about right.
It took a bit of a hit when it hit the ground. It popped out of the
Yeah.
sheath and yeah.
Yeah.
Any photos of that?
Edge damage? No, you won't see it. It'll be gone by the time it's 10:55. It'll be gone by the time the episode's over here.
Oh, is
That's
that what
fair.
you're reprofiling?
No, it's not, I'm not doing anything tonight. I'm sitting
Yeah.
back and being foolish.
I kind of figured. That's probably for the best.
So yeah, and for size reference, if you're not, it's this big. It's
Yeah.
me, yeah.
Pretty cool.
Just a sweet little thing.
It's probably the most unique daily carry that we've got.
Absolutely.
An axe,
And
yeah.
I have seen people in the past talk about using an axe as like a single tool option in the woods, and it's nice to see that it actually is feasible.
So I will say I rigged up a belt loop for it
Yeah.
and had that, but because the back end of the handle does have a bit of a swell as well,
Mhm.
I had to keep it a bit loose for that to be able to pop out, which means that it did twist around a little bit. So my next plan, and potentially done by next weekend when we go out again, is to make a Kydex neck collar for the top of the handle, so I can just
Ah.
literally click the
That'd be cool.
handle with a Kydex sheath that will strap snugly to my belt. Yeah.
For just a second, I thought you were suggesting you were going to neck carry it, and I was so happy.
Oh, I'm just gonna
The
leave
leave
Yeah.
button.
It was
Done.
just a split second, and then the sadness came back. So you should be happy about
The
that.
sadness came back. Jesus Christ! All right.
Well, that's his permanent state. You see, it's
Hmm.
Yeah. On that note, who wants to go next? Me or you, Joe? Yeah.
Um, it, yeah. So I've been carrying a couple of weird things. I didn't get the original photo I wanted, but this is a decent second here. Recently acquired and falling in love with Spyderco Lava. It's a weird one. It's very strangely shaped. Um, don't even really know how to describe this other than like a subcompact type of design. Very
Yeah,
so.
pitchy.
dragonfly is
So
size
when
wise.
when I said is any of you know
I
pictures and
had a
here's like a
different
real
photo. I had a different photo ready, but like I said earlier, was having problems loading it off of my phone, and that it didn't open up in Chrome, so I couldn't actually show people. So this is the one I went with.
all right, all
Yeah.
right.
For the record, the one I was going to show because this also made it into the pocket was the Spyderco Cricket.
Ah,
That was actually the
yes.
one that's been riding around a lot for reasons I'll get
That
into later. This is actually okay. So for the record, these were both carried at the same time, along with another equally small, silly knife. But this is the one where the picture survived. So here you go. Here's a picture of a lava.
this now makes sense in my pre
Yes,
filming going live
I
mind.
was trying to salvage it, but that's okay. We can just stand at the ruins. Uh,
Dick Richards says he kind of wants it to fall off the balcony. You got that thing
uh
sticky tacked down or what?
no. uh, I had pressed the edge into the wood so it would kind of hold itself up. Oh, he disappeared. Excellent. Um,
Did I
uh,
read it?
yeah,
Oh, there you go.
I had to make sure that it wouldn't have been a particularly long fall because I would have gone looking for it and I wouldn't want it to have been terribly damaged. So,
Indeed.
I will say though, this stainless steel handle marks up super quick, super duper quick. Just
Oh
from
yeah.
yeah, like very like only a couple days worth of carry and use, and man,
You had come to terms with the fact that it was going to be a user.
oh yeah, 100%, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm okay
Just
with it.
polish. No one will ever know.
See, that's the thing. Like, I already did try polishing a section of it, and it cleaned it up so fast. I'm like, okay, this is great. Like, maybe once a year, I'll go through and resurface it, if that. Like, I don't know. The more scratches that accumulate, the more it kind of goes on me. But yeah. Anyway,
Justin's
that
asking, what is that dragonfly with a broken spine?
yeah,
It's the lava.
that's pretty much it. Yeah, it's. Although I think the dragonfly blade is actually longer than this thing. I'd have
Fair enough.
like I think legit. I think it's actually a little bit bigger, but
This is like the guy from 300 that wants to become a soldier, but can't raise his shield high enough to defend the. Yeah, that's what this knife is.
Scoliosis. It's fine. What's a little
It's
scoliosis amongst
anyway.
friends?
Yeah, that's his only problem. That's
amongst friends, come on now.
EPM wants to know what's the deal with my background. Fine. Fine. Fine.
what? Oh, yeah,
Fine.
yeah. That's not
Is
better.
that better?
No, that's not better.
Somewhat
That's
better.
like Amish Paul. It's
God awful terrifying.
There we go.
Oh, that's
yeah,
much
that's
better.
better.
That's 1,000% better. Not just because it's not you, but because it's Windows XP. It's better than most things out there.
All right, all right.
Now
We did.
because
We
it's
get.
not
Yeah, we
you.
did. We got through the 15 minutes. Look at that, and Paul
Indeed.
hasn't gone yet.
Yeah,
So we said 15 minutes. We probably meant 17.
that's okay.
I should have
ahead
said
again.
that 17 minutes ago. Or
Yeah.
15. 17 minutes ago was probably still we were live, but we didn't realize it at that point. So,
That's
it is
fair.
what it is. Yeah.
What about you, Paul? What are you carrying?
I'm carrying probably one of these sillier knives in my collection now.
Yeah.
Um,
I don't know.
all the
You're
more
not.
silly because it's the second type of one of these that I have.
I don't know. You're not carrying a chingueta, so it's. I mean,
I can get it.
it's not the silliest thing in your collection.
That's fair.
let's preface this entire
Let's-
conversation with that.
Don't be
Like,
hating on my
it's
tactical pizza slice.
well, there's no hate. You just said ridiculous things in your collection, and you have some contenders, sir.
Indeed. Thank you for bringing it back around, though. And as far as silly things, the Spyderco Chris,
Yeah.
high up on that list.
Pretty goddamn silly. And I'm happy that one of us ended up with that knife, because I've kind of wanted that for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, didn't I sell
funky.
that to someone? But no, I didn't own that knife. I would have sold it to someone though if it had.
The other knife
It's-
that Paul was referencing is the
Yes. Thank you. I don't have it close by.
Chris highlight. I figured it might be the case, but yeah.
And I'll be 100% honest, I actually like the amount of wiggle in the cold steel more. I wish this was a little bit more outrageous. But
Impractical.
I was just
Yeah.
gonna say, between the two, the Spyderco's got a way more user-friendly blade, but
oh, absolutely, 1,000%. And I might gently use it for a day just to see how it works. See if it actually does improve on cuts and stuff.
well,
Indeed.
that is very funky.
Infinite saying he thinks something went wrong in the heat treat on this one.
Yeah, for sure. They put it in a vice and tried to fix it.
I was gonna say it's completely unrelated to the blade shape, but yes.
It is VG10. So probably what, 58?
Yeah, sure. We'll say that.
57?
56 to 62.
Oh.
I don't know.
I don't know if I like either extreme if I'm being
I'm
honest.
probably right. It's probably somewhere in there.
Sure, I guess.
Yeah.
It better be. God damn.
Yeah. Get your scratch test files there, Joe. We can find a spot.
Oh yeah, I'm sure Paul
No,
would
we
love that. Don't worry,
There's not a spot on it.
don't worry, we'll test right along the edge. You'll have to.
Yeah.
You're gonna resharpen that thing right away, right?
Get right in the low spot and just
Mm.
don't like move it along the edge, but just in one
Yeah.
spot. Just do as much damage in one spot as you can.
Now you're getting it.
Yeah.
Not awful. Okay, so yeah, that's one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight is Paul's quiz. Do we want to start here?
Sure.
Pat.
So, do we want to start with what the hell we're actually doing tonight? So,
We should probably
recently,
do that.
a gentleman came in. We've dealt with the gentleman in the past. It's been fantastic to be able to get some goodies at very, very reasonable prices. And that happened again this week. So this week is straight up just a show and tell episode. We're just gonna have fun. We're gonna show off. We're gonna tell what we know. We got some fun stuff to go down because actually we're kind of in between playing with some new stuff. So it's a good way to fill the void, as it were.
Yes.
It's summertime in the void, as it were.
So, Jose in chat actually apparently already skipped ahead, but like in the present to the perfect time for the show to start.
Nice.
Congratulations. Welcome.
So he just knows to start at 7:30 and not 7:15 when we're
Yeah.
idiots. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I don't know about you, Paul, with the Chris, because this isn't Ed Shemp design.
It sure is.
Yeah. So you probably found some decent information about the knife in general.
Spyderco is pretty good about giving like that kind of information on their website for stuff that they have made.
Well,
Yes.
and seen as how there literally is a Spidey wiki.
I wanted to
Yes.
get to that as well. Yeah. I think we
That-
referenced it before on this channel, but it is a significantly excellent resource.
Indeedly. Indeedly.
I don't think I went to the Spidey Wiki. Unless
Oh, that's
is it just the
that's
website?
too bad. You're going to learn something about your knife tonight, Paul. It's going to be great.
Excellent.
Wait, you had service for the last 3 days, right? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I just went to Spyderco's website because they've got the write up on there about Ed Shemp designing the ethnic
Yes.
series, and
So
They do also have old archived catalogs on their website as well, so you
Yep.
can actually look up which catalog it first appears in as well.
that is fair. That is not something I did.
Sweet, dude.
you
So
know,
what did we learn?
all of them. Well, yeah, Paul. Well, why don't you talk us through the stuff that you did find out, and then maybe we could walk through this, do what Dennis was just talking about. We can go through Spider Wiki and show guys how to track that information down.
Well, I got to the wiki page, so I could start off by saying the C104 Ed Shemp Chris.
You know, when you say Ed Shemp Chris, you make it sound like his last name is Chris and his middle name is Shemp.
I really hope it is.
That's awful. Thank you.
But yeah,
Spider
is
Spider
the 104th Spyderco design that they put forth based off of its number. You know, the way that things do that. Yeah. In 2003, Ed Shemp started doing a series he forced. Was it for Spyderco or was it a custom line as well? That I'm not sure about.
I think the Ethnic series was just Spyderco. I think it was designed for Spyderco in collaboration with Ed Shemp.
Cool.
But there's no direct custom analog that preceded those knives. Whether Shemp has since done Chris customs based on the Spyderco, which would be hilarious because usually you don't see it happen in that order.
Absolutely. But yeah, in 2003 he started doing that ethnic series with the Spyderco Persian. Later on, followed by the Chris.
The Persian was the first model they did, huh?
Apparently, that's what it's saying on here.
Very cool.
No, I apologize. Spyderco unveiled its first ethnic-inspired knife, the Shabara.
Okay.
But that wasn't an Ed Shemp design. Yeah.
Yeah, and then in 2003, we released a Persian knife followed by an Indonesian ceramic blade. The latest installment in Spyderco's ethnic series was the Chris.
Okay.
Yeah. In this write-up is what they're saying.
Know him by great films as the Mini Persian, as it were, and the Navaja, because that's a messed up knife.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
And who can forget the stupid ass Tough?
What's the tough part of the ethnic series?
I don't know. It's an Ed Shemp design though, so probably.
Probably,
I think all of Ed Shemp's stuff was ethnic stuff. I think he landed in that zone with everything. So
what ethnicity is the Tough?
Oh, wouldn't you like to know?
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that for a minute. Black Frost also owns a Tough by Shemp, so he can appreciate. Yeah. I was like, wait a minute, I have more Shemp knives than I know what to do with. I'm shemping it up over here.
Since we're on a bit of
made a comment about this Chris Blade when Cold Steel made it 3 years ago. This far precedes any Chris Blade Cold Steel made. And I mean, many Chris Blades before that preceded Chris Blades before that, and so on and so forth, which I think Paul's probably going to get into a little bit. Yeah,
we're going to talk about the fact that the Chris Blade is based off of some like Southeast Asian, Indonesian, Filipino.
Do you have the history of it when it first started popping up? Origins, so on and so forth?
History. First appeared in the 13th century.
There you go. Sweet.
Originally from the island of Java, Java, in Indonesia.
That's the place they found the earliest evidence of it. Yeah.
From there, they spell Chris weird here. It's Keris, migrated to
So
the Philippines,
there's been
where
like
it evolved into the chaos.
yeah, there's a bunch of different anglo what's the term, anglicized versions of
Mhm.
like English spellings for the word Chris that are
Yep.
all like almost the same but very slightly different, but they all refer to basically the same kind of the same thing. um
Th-
I've never been
This
able
is
to find out why there's been that many changes.
probably because English people just went, "I'm going to write it like this," and everybody else can go to hell.
And enough people saw that famous person write it like that, and then enough people copied it
Yep.
until it became a thing.
Yeah,
And
fair enough.
quite honestly, the Talwar from India has a similar history with like there's 4 or 5 different spellings of Talwar that I've seen.
Anyway,
Yeah, fair
continue
enough.
on, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah. What else do we want to talk about? The fact that this thing was made in Japan back in the day when was this like pre getting stuff made in Taiwan?
I think so.
What
I
year
think
did
so.
this come out?
2006 was the first appearance, I think,
Of
Of
the
of the Chris.
Chris, the Spedico Chris? Yeah.
I don't remember when Taiwanese builds started becoming a thing, but I don't think it was until at least 4 or 5 years later.
Mm,
For their lockbacks, I think their lockbacks have always been Japanese though.
yeah, I'd be
I
curious to know
think.
what the first Taiwanese made knife was. That's an interesting thing. We don't have to necessarily but we can backburner that one. I just might make a note of it.
Yeah,
I
yeah, no,
just
that'd be cool to
think
come back to.
if this was made today, it probably would have been made in Taiwan, I assume.
100% it would have been.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and that's probably worth a whole discussion on its own. But like Spyderco for the longest time, and this is due to their connection with Almar, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
But they had a ton of different designs done in Japan. Like any of the weird stuff where you kind of see like a custom maker do a thing, and now their Taiwanese factory produces it. It used to be Japan. I mean, case in point, the Chris. How much weirder do you really get than the Chris? Um, but by that token, I
There's some
think
designs.
most. Sorry.
So there's some designs.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, tons of lockbacks. A couple liner locks, I think, were done in Japan as well, but mostly lockbacks.
Anyway,
Uh,
yeah.
we didn't really set a time frame how many knives we need to get through, so we might be coming to the end of this knife talk.
If they got anything else for us, 2006, cool when it came out.
Yeah.
G10. Did they make a
Like
sprint
kind
run
of
of this guy at any time? I'm also curious because a lot of these
Um,
knives have had a little,
pretty
re-release
sure
somewhere along the way.
pretty sure I had read that it was micarta.
I think you're right.
Yeah, fair enough.
Spyderco's
it's
catalog archive
so
probably would have told us that, but
here's the
Oh yeah,
weird thing with
that's
this with Spyderco the Chris. It actually, to my knowledge, never had a re-release. It was only ever produced
okay.
in the black micarta from. You know what? I'm just gonna reference that page. I want to say it was only for a year or two. Yeah,
2006,
from
2007.
yeah, yeah. So it was only made for
They
two
didn't
years.
re-release it in red like they did with the
No,
version or anything. It's yeah.
it may not
You
have
mean
been
this one wasn't
popular.
as popular?
I was just gonna say, like, oddly enough,
Or a mini Chris, or
Yeah,
for that
a
matter.
mini
Yeah.
Chris would have been cool. Um,
What are they? Cold Steel? Jeez, I'm on
there
Dick
you go.
Richards' side now. That's it.
Okay, how about a maxi Chris and it's a foot long?
A maxi.
Maxi
Is
Chris.
that
I
like a
like that.
Mannix and a Chris blade put together?
Yeah.
Ooh, ooh. You
That's
gotta get.
anyway.
Oh.
You hush you mush.
There's just one small thing that I want to touch on before we can move on to another knife.
Sure.
Um, and it has to do. I took a picture of a close up of the Spyderco
Oh,
logo on the knife.
let me rip that out of the file folder I hastily created.
That's fair. Um,
Which close up? Got a couple.
there's one where you can see the gold spider on the blade.
There's a couple like that, but I'll just throw this one up because it's very. The contrast is really poppy.
Yeah.
Damn. Is that stipple?
I believe.
All right.
Yeah, I was actually going to ask you guys
That's
if you know
Stipel.
what they did to
Okay.
that to make it gold.
So they, the only thing I know is that they call it gold colored.
Okay.
That's it. I actually don't know whether it was like gold leaf inlay or whether they did like if it's a dye or what they would have done. But and to be clear, the gentleman we got this knife from, he takes care of his toys, takes care of these knives. But even
Yeah, this
so,
thing is pristine.
this hasn't like changed over time. It hasn't like oxidized weirdly. Whatever it is, it seems pretty sturdy.
I was
Um,
wondering if it was like a titanium nitride that was then anodized gold or something like
that
that. Or
would be very interesting if that was the case.
yeah.
Super brief aside, I actually have a knife that had something similar to that gold coloring on it that no longer has it. Um, and as I struggle to find it, I'll just tell you what it is. It's the Higo, the folding Higo personal steak knife from Shun. The
Yeah.
Shun logo was written on in a very similar colored yellow uh, material, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
God, okay, well now I'm actually a little concerned that I can't find it even after digging. But anyway, it's completely worn
Infinite's
off.
commenting on it. Oh, really?
Yeah, the Shun logo. Let me see if I can actually find that.
I
It's
do
the
like the fact that they mirrored it on the pocket clip as well.
yes, that's a super cool thing.
Yeah.
So just flex it on everyone around you, so you're able to see. Yeah, the bright yellow spider. Which I think this photo might show it. Yeah, so the English word shun here. Oh man, this is not working out very well. I thought there was a higher definition version of that photo. Anyway, the yellow logo was completely rubbed off and gone. I am
Okay.
curious as to whether that could happen. Um, fine. Yeah, you can kind of see it here. It doesn't really. This picture doesn't really show the color that well, but it looks extremely similar to the same yellowing. Um,
Okay.
I know Kai has their own factories. I don't think they're subcontracting out, so I don't know how much crossover there would be, but I wouldn't be shocked if
Did
it was a
Kai own them
similar.
at this point?
Um.
98 is when this knife first came out.
Oh, for that one maybe, but
Oh yeah, right. Sorry. No, sorry. I got sidetracked. I
oh no,
apologize.
no, it's all
Yeah,
good. Yeah, I was just thinking about the yellow here. Anyway, durable,
100%.
yes. For how long? Eh. Um, I would be very interested to hear from anybody who's carried any of Spyderco's gold bug models for any length of time.
I wouldn't be surprised if that wore off the clip
Yeah,
real easy.
that's probably just like an enamel or something like
Yeah.
that.
Infinite said gold colored. What in the 80s aesthetic? Yeah, absolutely. Brass everything with uh rose quartz glass and
Dude,
brass.
if they made this out of like brass handles instead of the steel for the bolsters,
Mhm.
man, I'm not saying I would be even more in love with it. I'm just saying it would be ridiculous, and I'd be very into it.
Absolutely.
You took some
On
other
that note,
photos. Anything else you want me to
yeah,
pop up? I'll show the clip at least, so you guys can see it here.
absolutely.
Yeah. So this is from an era in Spyderco's life where they just decided to make fucked up pocket clips. Um, if you look at that hole pattern, that's pretty immaculate.
What with
Um,
those Phillips screws? It's that
look,
look
Old
like they're
school.
on a Kershaw Emerson nowadays.
it's
I
not.
think they shared screws. I think they got them left over from
I,
Chris
I,
blades.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah. Um, that's not really the part I meant, but sure. Also, the fact that it's Phillips, that's kind of funny.
Also the three hole pattern that, like, yeah.
It's like, sure, it's a 3-hole pattern, but what the fuck kind of pattern is this?
This must be before they realized, hey, if we just make a universal pocket clip, we only need one.
What do you mean we can save money on this? Yeah,
Yeah,
Good times. Good times.
yeah.
indeed. Who next?
Uh, well, I got a nice simple one, and we were on the theme
Okay,
of campy camps.
cool.
Yeah.
Give it.
So I think one of the pictures I sent Joe
Yes.
um was we've talked about this knife several times. You can go back and watch, I believe, even a review where we got a limited edition M4 version that
I see.
several of us got to play with. Just recently, I was able to acquire um, another limited edition version of these, and I don't own a standard version. I will just only ever acquire rare limited edition versions of this knife.
Yeah,
I
that
was
sounds
going to
about
say
right.
the best two so far, as far as I know.
If I can get the SG laminate one, that would be the last
Mhm.
one. You didn't really need to track down. Maybe the 154 carbon fiber. I know Joe's got a hard on for that one. The carbon fiber looks like a sticker, so I don't care that much. But
Hey,
anyway,
I can't even defend it. It does look like a sticker. It makes me very sad.
it's awesome. I was waiting for a reaction. You're like, no, it does.
It's a
It's terrible. It's I will mod my own track tech and make my own.
oh
Anyway,
yeah, pretty
yeah.
much.
Speaking of, if you haven't figured out what knife it is yet, with all those hints and track techs and limited editions, it's a Kershaw Blur. Bam, but
Yeah, it
not
I
just
is.
don't
any
want to
Kershaw
spoil
Blur.
it and be like it's a
If-
blur.
What's that?
Nothing. Nothing. Go ahead.
Not worth repeating, evidently.
No. No.
Were you cheesy dad joking something?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Cheesy dad joking about you saying, if you haven't guessed yet, I was saying it's a blur about guessing,
Yeah.
but also giving it away.
I see. And also, deer rump roast is pretty delicious for 6 hours over the fire with a butter, parsley, garlic glaze every hour or so.
I'm gonna say, good lord, that is a hunk of meat.
I'm leaving.
I don't
Sat
have
down.
I don't have a dragonfly for a size reference there, but the giant chunk of meat should make up for it.
Yeah,
And if
a
you
little
don't
bit.
know how big a Kershaw Blur is, it's this big. It's this big right here. That's how big it is. Yeah.
This is the one
So-
Dennis was talking about before with the M4. I think
Yeah.
we all currently have still at this point, but
Possibly the second best one.
Potentially.
possibly.
With a half decent M4, with a half decent piece of M4. I will say it does trim some silver skin off of the roast pretty damn good. And that's the only thing that I didn't use a hatchet for.
I was gonna ask. I was like, "What? You didn't silver skin with your hatchet?"
No, we needed a pretty sharp knife. And I'm like, well, this knife hasn't cut anything. And I just finished taking pictures of it. So we trimmed that and then I wiped it all down. And it's probably the only thing this knife will ever cut. And it'll probably go in the bag now.
Yeah, that's
That's
fair.
completely fair. That looks delicious.
So, what is so special about this blur?
Oh, yeah, that part. The reason that this is arguably the best one. It's a composite blade. Kershaw has a rights patent, something on that. Anyway, for brazing and blade steels, at least. Kai does, not Kershaw, because Kai is a Kai. Anyway, yeah. So CDP 189 on the edge. That's what's so fancy about it.
Yeah.
Mm.
It's not like it's one of my top 5 steals or anything. It's yeah.
And it's 1428 Sandvik on the spine.
Nice. Nice and tough.
So
And to my knowledge, limited edition, I want to say mid 2009, if I've gotten all my history correct on this. I've seen multiple reviews in January and February of 2010, and I've seen a couple posts on Blade forums talking about having them for sale in 2009. Not a ton of information on catalogs and stuff that I could find. I think I probably have
Kershaw
the
stuff,
catalog that this came out in, but I'm not digging
Kershaw
that much after camping.
catalogs, in my experience in the past, and I haven't looked for a couple years, mind you, but Kershaw catalogs themselves are kind of hard to track down online these days. Spyderco, Cold Steel, Benchmade, you can find those. They're not too terribly difficult, just a couple Google searches, and we're finding some search results. But Kershaw, I seem to recall it being problematic.
Just a quick shout out to CJLA in chat. What is up?
We're talking about a
Dick
deer
Richard.
roast and a ZBC blur. Yeah.
Indeed. Dick Richard said rip to Ontario knives while I'm thinking about it. We talked about that last week, didn't we?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
And indeed, rip 2 pieces.
Yes.
No, you're more than welcome to go to another picture of a ZDP blur that doesn't have a bleeding raw piece of meat on it for everyone that may or may not want that picture up. But
Did you send any other pictures?
no, so you're just gonna have to grab a stock one off there. But there's 12 million of them out there if you just put ZDP blur. Because
That's exactly what I put in
Find
there.
something to show off that fancy blade.
Come on.
Do-
There we go. Ooh.
Did Kershaw ever say what
Yeah.
this was run at as far as hardness?
I don't think it came up in conversation because no one cared back then. I think it's still pretty hard. Like,
Yeah.
I bet you if you were to actually dive into the weeds, it wouldn't shock me if they were in the 64.
So I remember when I first bought this knife, and when I think I had either just started at the shop or anyway. This is my only knife with ZDP 189, and I remember you talking about the composition of the steel and how kind of like, yeah, this is like, it's crazy how hard they have to run it. I wonder if ZDP, the bare minimum you can get away with is something like a 64 or 65, because
It wouldn't surprise me.
Spyderco runs theirs pretty hard, not as hard as like Higo Rocksteads are run at, but you know.
Well, I was gonna say my kitchen knife is run at the same hardness that Rocksteads are at that 66, 67.
And there was actually articles in Blade magazine talking about optimum heat treatment. And again, this might have changed because this is 15-year-old conversations or 10-year-old conversations, but them talking about 64 to 66. And that was blowing people's minds.
Yeah.
At that. 66 Rockwell was blowing people's minds, right? Like, it's, no way, you can't put it that high, blah, blah, blah. So,
yeah. Around that time, I think most of the guys who were interested in Rockwell hardness and stuff like that, they were mostly concerned with, like, chef's knives or, like, high-end hunting knives. It wasn't so much the EDC folding knife guys. So the conversation has definitely shifted over time.
That makes sense.
But I would not be shocked if people found conflicting information if they looked back in history. Because I mean, our understanding of sorry,
go ahead. No, go.
I was just gonna say because our understanding of this has changed over the years as well. How these properties come about and how these elements work in tandem.
Well, and like I said, the term optimum has probably been redefined compared to when this knife even got released in the first place, right?
Yeah,
like
yeah.
So,
I mean, it totally depends on what you plan on using your like. It's so weird how guys like they complain.
What do you plan on using it for? Sorry.
No, it's exactly like in my mind, it's you have a task or a set of tasks you want a knife to do, so you design the geometry of the knife in order to best do those tasks. Then you look at the blade steel and say, a blade steel is available. Like, okay, which of the blade steels fits this geometry the best? Putting blade steel first and then trying to fill in everything else after the fact, it doesn't make sense to me. And I know this is a tangent, but all this to say, it wouldn't surprise me if Kershaw actually ran this a little bit softer because, hey, it's a folding knife. Guys might be a little bit harder on this. They might be more twisting with their cuts as opposed to a big chef's knife, right?
I don't know, because I do believe that there is a different policy on their composite blades and stuff than there is on their normal blades. I could be wrong, but
there is also an interesting tidbit as far as the composite blades. They have to be heat treated together. So if that's the case,
you have to find the happy medium.
You gotta have steels that play nice together. You can't just pick two different steels. It's kind of like it's like Damascus. You can't just forge weld steels together and expect them to play nicely when you go to harden and temper them if they have completely different phases where that's optimal.
I will put those steels in the sandbox and they will learn how to share, okay?
Yeah.
They're going to play together. That's
the only thing I wanted to touch on earlier was in regards to the other blur, the M4 blur, and how Benchmade tends to run their stuff like in the 64-ish range for M4. Yes. And I think we found out that this one was running at like a 62-ish kind of range.
That's kind of where we're guesstimating based on my files.
Yeah. 1,000%. And that's kind of, it would make sense to me that they would run it slightly softer than what you see today.
And also what drove that conversation was me sharpening the Kershaw blur in the first place and being like, seemed a little easy. Seemed a little easy to sharpen. And then we did a test and we were like, oh, it is a little easy to sharpen. And then we looked up the numbers and we're like, oh, look, it's softer. It should be easy to sharpen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it was still within a reasonable expectation, is what I'm trying to.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I would expect that this is probably also within a reasonable expectation based off of
Yeah.
a sample of one.
I don't think they butchered it. Doesn't seem likely. But anyway, yeah, super cool. And hey, it comes with a funky kind of brownish colored handle. It's neat.
Yeah. I just want to touch really quickly on what Infinite said in chat. Apparently it was Cliff Stamp, Rip, and Co. Rip as in he's passed away. And Co driving the conversation and a bunch of Buck 110 guys losing their mind about hardness.
Cliff
So,
Stamp. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, he's fairly infamous. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know who that is, but
without getting too far into it, he basically did a lot of pseudo, and I say pseudo not in a disparaging way, but pseudo scientific testing.
okay.
Repeatable testing for the most part, for sure. And he did add a lot to the conversation over the years. And I'm only aware of like the surface level work that he did. I never really read into a lot of that follow through because by the time I started becoming interested in that, Knife Still Nerds was becoming more of a thing. So that's where most of my attention went. But
would I be safe to say Cliff Stamp is kind of the Cedric Aneda of his day?
I got similar vibes. Yeah, a lot of real world testing, which honestly it shouldn't be discounted. You learn a lot about individual knives in that sense. One thing to keep in mind with those types of tests, when you're looking at results like that, you are looking at a sample size of that knife using that steel. There's a reason why when Laren was doing his testing for Knife Still Nerds, there were coupons that were basically identical, all ground and sharpened the same way, because we want to know how they work in the exact same scenario, in the exact same form. Cliff Stamp's work was a lot of, like, this is how the Buck 119 deals with this. Which, again, is valuable information, but it's a lot more granular, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Sure. Next knife.
Yes.
Off the rails.
Yeah, that is fair. Yeah, I guess we'll talk about the one I already showed off here. The lava. Because it's very weird.
They should have called it the scoliosis.
So I'm going to butcher his name, but this was designed by a fellow named Chad Banos? Probably Banos. So this only lasted from 2006 to 2009. This is the...
It has a longer run than the Chris blade.
I was going to say.
It's a little bit more pocketable, and it's a little bit more EDC friendly than a Chris, for sure. This came from a time period when... This came from a time period when Spartaco was really loving their... a couple of things. Their full body steel construction was the one thing. A lot of pinned stuff. So this is... You're not disassembling this thing to clean it, which is one thing I'm a little apprehensive about, but I feel like I might know a few people with ultrasonic cleaners, so if I'm really upset about it, I can figure something out. VG10 on this guy. To my knowledge, this was the only version produced, that was the only steel produced, but there were 3 different variations that I'm aware of. What had they done? There was the blue G10, and I could have sworn it was Nishishin they had done. Let me actually go to...
Spartaco.com?
Yeah, I'm just going to double check myself here, but I'm pretty sure that there was... Yeah, okay, it is the blue G10 version, which was a screw construction. I want to say that was a number of years ago. That was like 2011 or something like that, maybe a little bit later. Here, I can look that up. 2013. So 2013, they had a blue spurt run version, and And I think the other version, yeah, that was just it was a forum knife from the Spyderco.com forum. So it had a specialized engraving. It was limited run of like 140. Uh, but the two main variants were this blue G10 version with the screws that allowed full disassembly, and then the pinned version that you could not disassemble. Um, so the designer, I wanted to talk about the designer because he designed something else that just kind of weird to me that it's the same dude. Let me bring up a picture here to show them together. So the guy who designed the Spyderco Lava is the same guy who designed the Real Steel Epon.
What? Really?
The knife with perhaps the fewest, most straight lines in my collection versus the knife with the most organic, looks like you took a ball of Play-Doh and just squished it in your hand. Ergonomics. Dude
It
designed
wasn't
both.
Play-Doh.
Yeah. And I mean, same dude. Same designer's mark.
Huh.
Totally funny. Which made me think, like, okay, well, what else has he done? The Boker, the Burker, the Boker, the Subcom. Yeah. Yeah, the Boker Subcom
Oh, yeah.
was actually a design that he had done.
As soon as you said that, I'm like, yes, I've read his name many times on that knife. But
I
yeah,
don't know if I know the subcom.
What? Oh, you will recognize it as soon as you see it.
a stubby
yeah.
little credit card looking thing. We sold it.
So there's been a bunch
Probably.
of different variations. Here's just a Google search of of the images. So yeah, so he's
Okay,
done.
yeah.
Yeah, he's done a few other designs here and there, but these are the more interesting ones that I kind of found. I'm like, really? First
He's
off,
got some
this
range.
is the same guy. Like, dude's got range. Damn. So he was and I couldn't really find much in the way of like an interview with him about this knife. Um, but the idea was that this is supposed to be like a negative cutting angle. Same idea with a lot of Spydercos these days. You see this sort of language repeated across their lineup, but the blade is canted downwards a little bit so that as you're holding it, the edge is naturally aligned forward and downward. Yeah, kind of like the Chris does in that angle.
Sure.
Another example, just because I have it handy, is the police. Very slight on this one, but it's more of a downwards angle. Yeah, no, I was very happy to be able to add this to the collection because there's been a number of times where I've seen that and like, man, and like somebody alluded to earlier, that's just a real fucked up looking dragonfly. I really want that. I will say the balance point is super strange on this knife. It isn't quite in this finger choil. It wants to be like just slightly back here.
Okay.
It's so when you're holding it, the way that it's oh yeah. So balance point's like right. Actually, here it's right in line with the pocket clip. It
Okay.
wants to sit like right there. So when you're holding it, it feels like it's tilting back in your hand, but because the pinch here, you feel like you have a ton of control with it. And this is a super small blade. Like this is under 2 inches. As far as cutting length goes, like it's absolutely minuscule. I love it. It did come with a fully serrated version as well. Very silly. Very silly.
I just want to touch on real quick the fact that as silly and as strange as that knife looks, it is surprisingly comfortable in hand. It just fits,
You said
and it
from
feels like it's not going anywhere.
2006?
Uh,
2009?
2006 to 2008 is what I'm getting on Spidey Wiki, actually. I had guessed earlier, I thought it was around then, but yeah, it's 2006 to 2008.
Weird. I'm looking at their 2006 catalog and it's not in.
It might be in one of the supplementals, because they did have supplementals available at that time.
Even back in the day? Really?
Yeah.
Maybe if I do a 2007.
Yep, yeah, it's in the supplemental. If you go to the 2006 supplement in their catalog and Spyderco's catalog section,
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah,
you can actually see it there. Yeah. Yeah, so, and actually in this description, they do. You know what? I should just.
Well, I was kind of curious because, especially on any of the Spyderco stuff, these are pretty useful things, references to show people for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm happy.
Corrections officer in Hawaii. Good lord, Chad.
Yeah. Yeah. And so they talk about, yeah, this means where the cutting edge sits lower than the user's index finger, naturally positioning the wrist. With the bladed wrist aligned, you cut long with less fatigue, better leverage. So, and they talk about how large and small size hands fit this fairly well. I can't actually say that's the case. My fiance has fairly small hands. She holds this, like, yeah, no, that's comfy. I could use that for whatever. And me holding this here, it's actually surprisingly comfortable. I wear a large glove. This feels great. One thing that's very silly, and I wonder if he had designed it this way intentionally, but it actually feels great in a reverse grip. And when I held it this way the first time, I'm like, oh Jesus, this is kind of like a folding TDI, which I think I actually have my regular fixed blade TDI in the other room, but that forward angle, like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, that, I could see why, like, a tactical application, sure.
Especially from that second foil like you had there.
Yeah,
When you
yeah.
reach
Oh,
back
yeah.
on it.
This
Yeah,
is even
that.
more so. But I, I just love that pinch, and I'm so happy that Spyderco continues to do this in so much of their lineup. Like, but this is an early example of that type of ergonomic situation. I think. I still love to see it though. But yeah, if
Dude,
you guys ever want to take a look at some older Spyderco models, like just the other day, Spyderco had a throwback post on their Instagram from one of their older catalogs showing a bunch of knives like these. If you ever want to go through and just see some of the weird shit they've come up with over the years and you can't find it on their website, just go through the catalogs. Like, there's some
They
good
only go
stuff in here.
back to 2006, I think, is the oldest they go
Yeah,
back, right?
I
Like
think
it's yeah.
so, unfortunately. There are knives that Spyderco had produced in like late 90s that would be cool to have some written documentation about, but yeah, I
it
think
was
this
all
is all they
clip it.
have. What's that?
Said it was all clippets.
Yeah, pretty much. Anyway, yeah.
Now, here's the thing. Here's the
Hmm?
thing.
Mm-hmm.
H- How many knives have we got to talk about tonight? Is it 8 or 7?
I only have two.
I only have two as well. I just have the one more.
Okay.
Why?
So I suppose I should go next.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
And that actually brings us back around to, unless we want to talk some more about our said lava. It's a fun one. That's I think we've covered.
I think so.
Anything
Did you
else?
mention the fact that the gentleman is from Hawaii, which is probably why it was called the lava, I would assume?
I didn't say that exact connection, but Dennis did mention, oh, corrections officer from Hawaii. Yeah,
Yeah, cool.
yeah.
Oh, and that's cool. If you go to their old catalogs, they have the supplements that includes the antler handled micro dyad, which is a sprint run supplement from 2006,
Yes.
which may or may
Sorry, you
not.
set me on.
So
Yeah.
yeah, they
Is
they
that it?
got a Copa flyer. Oh, I
Dennis
hate you.
Dennis is just getting lost.
Anyway, yeah,
Is that what we're talking about?
yeah, 2006 sprint run. That's that one. Yeah,
She's a cute little thing.
yeah. Anyway, if you jump forward, 6 years in time, you get to a 2012 catalog.
Are you directing me? Should I go to this 2012
Could
catalog?
it was the links that I sent you, but honestly, that we're there anyway. Just go to the 2012 catalog.
Just the product guide or the mid-year?
The product guide.
Okay.
And
All
it's
right.
on page 39.
Oh, Paul's gone into the mist.
Oh, that's too bad. Someone should call for help. Oh, he's coming back. He's back.
Yeah.
He's returned.
Ta-da!
Hey, I remember the cover of that catalog. Wow, I'm old.
Mm.
Yeah.
As soon as you run it up. All right, so take a guess on which one it is, because I already own a Techno 2, so it really could go either way on which one of these two knives I bought.
I was going to say, you would own both of these, I'm pretty sure.
Ask
Given
in
the
the
option.
comments exactly which one I got. But for the record, for those of you who don't know, oh, I put it away again. Oh, I gotta do
You
it.
better go get it. This is the only photo we got. You better grab it.
No, not even this knife. It's not even that knife. It's the wrong knife.
Uh,
For those of you who don't know, I've owned a GB1 for as long as GB1s have been a thing, pretty much, right? Like it's yeah. So
Mr.
if
Browning.
that doesn't hint you to which one I actually picked up recently out of these two knives. Yeah, I picked up a Gale Bradley Air. A little son of a bitch
Yep.
with some twillies. It's got some twilly goodness.
It is really good.
It's a little bit twiggy, a little bit mosquito-y. Looks like a kiwi that they fancied the shit out of. That's yeah.
Yeah, yep. You did say it.
But it's titanium, skeletonized titanium liners. With M4.
Yeah.
Apparently you're a son of a. Dick Richards says apparently for your air. So congratulations, you son of a.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
It's
I'm
not
still
just-
working on getting the Techno 1, but I won't carry it. The Techno 2 is a better knife. But anyway,
That's all right. That's all right.
that's a conversation for a better day. Yeah.
Yeah,
For
I'm
a better
curious.
day, Jesus, a better day when you get it. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be
It's not-
pretty.
It's not a better day yet.
That would be a pretty good day. Those things are hard to come by these.
So, 2012s, you say?
Indeed.
Yeah, there were days, and there were days. Some days, get in there.
When did the GB1 come out?
The GB1? I don't know.
Okay. Was it before this? Is all I was wondering.
Uh,
Hang on. I'm right there.
Sorry, guys.
GB Gale Bradley.
Gale Bradley was introduced in December 2009.
So yes. This was 3 years after the GB1 came out.
Cool.
And then the GB2 came out like a year or two after that, probably.
Ooh. Just as a small tidbit, apparently a few hundred of the initial run of the Gale Bradley are missing the maker's logo. So those might be collectible shit by now.
The Gale Bradley Airs?
No, sorry, the Gale Bradley. Just the C-134.
Mine has it. I know mine has it.
Yeah, the little Texas logo. Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta look now just because that's gonna bug me if I don't. But I'm sure mine has it.
CJLA is that just give him your Techno 2 when you get a Techno 1. That doesn't sound likely.
But I already said the Techno 2 was the better knife. I'm
Yeah.
gonna get a Techno 1, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna carry it. It just means I'm gonna own a Techno 1.
He just
That's
wants
the moral. The moral of the story is that I own both of them.
it. Nice. Tell
Have
us
you
what's
touched on Blade?
What? What was Paul's
Go ahead,
question?
Jeff. I said, have you touched on the blade steel? Is all.
I don't think I have yet. Titanium, skeletonized liner, silver troll, M4, sons of bitches, CPM M4 on a little
CPM.
tiny. Clipless, by the way, even though they put it in the C category.
Look, you're making some dangerous observations.
Well, let's just not get into some honeybees and some grasshoppers being in the C classification as well. But ladybugs and man bugs, they don't get a C classification.
No.
Drama.
Look,
Spyderco, sue each other.
Spyderco sued itself. It hurt itself in its confusion.
So, yeah.
that sounds about right.
So I will note that the Spyderco, the Spidey Wiki website correctly refers to the handle scales as silver twill glass fiber handle scales, not silver twill carbon fiber. It is silver twill glass fiber, like it's always been, and they call it what it is, and it's not a problem.
So in the actual 2012 catalog, featherweight glass fiber handle. Nothing about silver even in it. Just glass fiber
funny.
handle. Titanium skeletonized internal liners. Okay, so that was the other thing I was going to dabble on. I might make a picture of this and bring it up for next week. But the skeletonizing on this thing, 2023 knives would be ashamed of how small these holes are. There's like 2 tiny holes on the liner side and 4 tiny holes on the non-liner side. But I understand it's a small knife. but the holes are like not much bigger than what the pivot screw is on this knife. And it's like,
It's not like there's a lot of material to remove at that point. Like,
no,
You need a certain
but
amount of strength.
I think the term skeletonizing has also changed in the last decade compared to what they can get away with.
they may have been
Like,
playing a little fast and loose with that language.
well, this is skeleton. No, this is 100% skeletonized for
Oh,
sure.
dude, you know what? This is also skeletonized by Cali 3. I kind of want to do this for comparison. When you take your photos, oh, this is not going to show up on webcam. It's basically like somebody took a drill press and was just wham, 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 wham.
Yeah, it's something. It's something that makes me chuckle. That's for sure.
That's
So
They've gotten
hilarious.
braver as they've gone on.
I think they've realized that, especially on a knife this small with titanium liners and like M4, and people aren't going to treat it. Has no clip. It has no clip. People aren't going to treat this knife rough.
Well,
Jesus
Scott, I mean,
Christ, man. Like,
how much does this thing weigh?
the weight on this blade is 1.27 ounces. It's almost a mini buggo. It's almost as long as a mini buggo too. Take that, bitches.
Oh shit!
Wow, it's what is the length? Blade is 2.6. What's
That's
the
long. That's longer than it, isn't it?
2.56 is what it.
All right.
What's a
hold on.
mini bug out? We got to know, and then we can move on.
I gotta say it's gonna be like 2 3/4 to 3.
2.8. Ah,
Okay.
okay. It's slightly longer, but whatever.
gives the lightweight mini buggo to run for its money a decade before its time.
And
But
This is-
no one gave a shit about that. You put the clip on, all of a sudden it's the same weight.
not if it's titanium. If they went with a tight clip, it probably
Yeah.
would be still lighter.
If they went a wire clip, even it would be
Oh,
even
yeah.
lighter. Yeah.
Tie wire. Yeah.
What are you gonna say, Paul?
Would you classify? I mean, obviously, this gentleman carry. Would this be something you would wear to like a wedding or something like that, or carry
Yes,
at a wedding because you can't really wear it?
potentially. I mean, maybe not my wedding. I'm still
Mm.
debating which folder to wear at my wedding, but
That's fair. That's fair. Did... No pocket clip.
no
And-
pocket clip.
And no lanyard hole.
No.
Of all
this
the
in a
knives, to not include a lanyard hole on the one that doesn't have a pocket clip seems like an odd fucking choice. I'm just gonna say.
CJ's calling it a fifth pocket carry option? Question mark. I would say that's where I'd probably carry it.
100%. It's tiny. It's
So this is at the size where I would actually be concerned that I wouldn't notice it leaving my pocket if it were to slide out or fall through like a hole in like some particularly rough worn jeans. In a fifth pocket, you'll notice whether it's there or not. The bottom of like your regular pocket, though, you're not going to notice. This thing's not even an ounce and a half.
and
It's
for
a-
those, I'm kind of throwing out a reference point here for those that are kind of comments in, and they're like kind of talking about fifth pocket carry option, good one to take to a barbecue, poke
Yeah.
too far out. Very traditionally in the shape, slender, like the air. The round head is actually a longer blade. So I know a fifth pocket, it would probably stick out a little bit, but I think like slip pouch when it comes to that type of thing is
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of almost where it belongs, right? So yeah.
Both of those blades at the barbecue would be fantastic for picking something up off a plate and adding it to your plate without, you know.
Well, that's the lion steel round head. So I mean that's no slouch.
Absolutely.
It's all right. I'm gonna scratch 2 off the list there. That's an oldie but a goodie. 11 years old. 11 years old. What's so far the oldest? 2006 is the oldest.
I think 2006. Yeah.
All right. All right.
Although
We've got a
if
2-way
I'm
tie.
next- yeah, if I'm going next, I go back a little bit ways from that.
Well, we're gonna see. We're gonna see who
Yeah,
has the
yeah.
oldie with the goodie. Yeah. So,
Indeed.
yeah, you might as well. You might as well.
Sure. So I picked up from Doug a knife that was kind of the predecessor to the Kershaw Leak, probably the Scallion Chive, like that whole series of knives.
For the record, I don't know if we've said his name yet on live camera, but Good times.
Who?
Gonna say it again. The gentleman we've been getting the knives off.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So, well,
It's just the first name. Probably
Doug,
fine.
guess we said it now.
Yeah. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's just the first name. It should be fine.
Thanks, Doug. These names may or may not have been changed for recording purposes.
Indeed.
They haven't been.
On that note, now that we brought more attention to it, yeah, the predecessor to the Kershaw leak was the random task.
Bet you didn't know there was a predecessor.
Yeah. Although you can see it in some of the design language as far as handle shape. You might recognize the blade shape from some of the new Kershaw leaks that have been coming out recently.
Just wanted to rapidly throw up a couple pictures there before landing on this one.
Absolutely.
It's kind of cool. It's kind of goddamn cool.
This is back in the day when, like, maybe pre-ZT Kershaw being kind of sister companies, when Kershaw did a lot more like higher end things like micarta and
You know,
S60V.
I knew this at one point.
Mm-hmm.
I forget when zero tolerance became a thing. 2006.
Probably wasn't 1998.
No, I was gonna say this. I know it was after 2000, but I didn't know how far after. 2006.
Absolutely. So, on that note, this design originally came out in 1998.
Yeah, so
It
preceded
it's
it
the-
by a certain number of years. Yeah.
Absolutely. It is the first Kershaw knife with a speed safe assisted opening mechanism.
Yeah, how's that?
Yeah.
Like,
it won
historically
Blade Magazine Knife of the Year. The year it was designed.
What year?
Made. 1998.
98. It got
So-
knife of the year.
Yeah.
They did also have fully plain edge versions, but the reason I'm zooming in is to show off that thumb stud, because
It's fantastic.
god damn, you can tell they were still just figuring stuff out as far as how to get knives to open with one hand, right?
It worked so good though.
It's not bad. I don't dislike it. But for any of you sissy bedwetters who don't like the Sabenza thumb stud, if I got bad news for you. Yeah,
Wow.
Herbie.
Because this one's assisted, it's not so bad.
So details, Paul.
Yeah.
It's just
So, if you like the thumb stud, do we have a picture of the clip?
I don't think that I did take a picture of the clip, and this is not
No.
going to show up on that.
Unless it's closer to your face. So-
yeah. So this kind of shows you the fact that it's tipped down from this one photo, but yeah, Paul.
It sure is. Tip down. It looks like an old Benchmade clip.
Looks like a current Spyderco clip where you could at least adjust the pivot through the center hole.
Yeah, it totally looks like a native clip or something like that.
But it's
It's-
funny that the hole is just like drilled super small. It's just like just small enough that you can get your screwdriver into.
It'll
Yeah.
hold the screw in place so it doesn't fall out of the
It
knife.
actually would, yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
It's an intentional retention method. That's all right.
Well,
okay.
If the screw on the front of the knife is any indication, it's
Hole.
probably twice the size of that hole.
Yeah.
So has anyone commented on the picture right now and what blade steel it is? Because
No
I
one
don't
yet.
know if anyone's actually mentioned what blade steel this is.
We didn't say yet.
And maybe an entry into the next giveaway. For whoever guesses it. No, I'm just kidding. There's no giveaways. There hasn't been
no.
giveaways for years. That statement is funny within itself.
This is definitely not getting given away. It's the only knife that I own in 440V, also known as S60V.
Yes.
I did take a picture of the information on the steel chart, and then I didn't send it, I don't think.
No, you didn't. Unfortunately, that's okay. Ta-da!
It is a variation on 440C with like 5.5% vanadium in it.
So my question is they're both CPMs. Why did they like 440V to S60?
I think they converted the S60 probably after the Sabenza came out with that steel, because they modified a 440C again to make S30 maybe. I know they modified a 420 to make S90V.
Yes, the development
Yeah.
history on that is long and confusing, so I don't want to get
Kind
into the
of, but
weeds too much
yeah.
with it because it's 8:30 already. But
S90 wasn't
um,
developed as a knife steel to begin with.
No, neither was this.
Yeah.
They
yeah,
were both used for injection molding
Yeah,
to
yeah,
keep
yeah.
wear resistance and everything else.
yeah.
Um,
And
Justin saying the rare S60V, quite honestly, when I realized what this steel was, that was my main motivation for getting this knife. The
Historically
thing that I
significant for two reasons: the first assist, and I think the first production knife using S60 or S60 variant 440V.
you think
that's
so?
I think so. And I think actually what's interesting too is that S60V is actually the rebranded version of 440V. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure.
yeah.
There is some, and I don't know which I want to say it's Boker. It's either, yeah, I'm almost sure
Okay.
it's Boker. And old Bokers have some 440V shit that might predate this.
Okay, fair enough.
That's why I was like,
So
I don't know
to,
about that one. I might fact check the 440V
it would be cool to come
thingy,
back to.
but yeah.
As a brief aside, S60V, because there's not really a good reference for what S60V or 440V is like. This steel is kind of like the middle child between S30 and S90.
So
It's about as stain resistant. It's not quite as tough as S30. It's about the same as
yeah.
S90, but edge retention is almost squarely in between. It was just the weird like S60 was the generation that kind of got skipped over for whatever reason.
Well, I can probably answer that question.
Oh yeah, okay.
In that knife steel app, comments that like the write up on the steel that I didn't send to you, it says the working hardness is a maxes out at 56 Rockwell. So that's probably why it
Really?
died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I
So
wonder why, but that's crazy. So even at that lower hardness, oh
Yeah.
man, oh man, if somebody figured out a way to heat treat that steel formula quote unquote properly to get it up higher, if that's
Yeah.
possible, kind of like how Big Brown Bear did for 15V, you could probably see a massive increase in performance.
So I
Wow.
wonder if because they base it off of a 440C, which has a fairly or 440 lineup of steels, and they have a fairly low hardenability. Um, the reason why like you're getting the vanadium carbide, which is giving you good edge retention, but the substrate steel is wearing away faster than the carbides, and so that's what's dulling your knife is you're losing. The steel's wearing away from around your carbides. You lose edge stability; they disappear, and your knife goes dull.
and
Possibly.
when your main carbide is chromium carbide,
Okay,
you've
one.
got
Well,
some
it was at
you've
16%
got some
chromium,
vanadium in there for sure,
five and
but
a half. Yeah.
Okay, so where did you see about the maximum working hardness? Was that
If
in
you
the
look up
in the
S6,
S60V?
yeah,
yeah,
because
if you
it
look up
doesn't
CPM
actually.
S60,
Yeah.
I just something occurred to me, and I kind of want to look at this before I forget to later.
Okay, we're gonna have to jump. We got what, two more knives to dive into?
2 or 3, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
this one,
I
and
think
then
two,
Joe, and
two.
then mine. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually have S60V's heat treat protocols bookmarked because I was looking at picking some up to experiment with in my own time. Actually, I just want to see something here.
So yeah, crazy and good score, by the way.
Yeah, it's a neat one.
Yeah,
It's so.
freaking sweet.
Do you have the same?
Oh,
I'm not a half serrated guy, and I understand collectibles collectible, and in some cases, probably half serrated is probably actually more collectible than plain edges in some particular situations because they're probably rare. They didn't
Yeah.
make as many of them, and blah blah blah, right? But I
People that
still
talk
am
about
like,
why I like to use them.
I prefer the plain edge. If I could get
Oh,
one in a
all
plain
day.
edge, as far as even a collectible knife that I don't plan on cutting a single thing with.
Prefer the
If I
plain edge.
1,000%. I would prefer a plain edge. If you're going to do serrations, this thing with a fully serrated edge would also be cool as hell and probably extra collectible. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
But as far
But
as the collectors, who cares? Like, it's going to sit in my drawer and it's something cool to play with and blah blah blah. But I still have my personal preferences. And I'm like, yeah, but either
dude,
all or nothing. I'm the same way. Yeah.
given the opportunity, if a plain edge version came up, I might try and snag it because having both is, gets me that plain edge one.
So I'll just say this and then I'll leave it alone. But the aim hardness written up in a 60V where it was produced as a tool steel, not as a blade steel specifically. The aim hardness is 56 to 58, but there are ways to harden and temper it to 60 to 62.
Okay.
So
Hopefully they're doing that in knife steels.
I would hope so. I would be interested to know what Kershaw ended up doing for that treatment protocol. They probably shot for 50, like maybe 59, maybe 59.60. Like just they've kind of always done that, to my knowledge.
So
But anyway, I might come back with more information next episode. But yeah, apparently that's a thing.
I just want to touch quickly on what OG Red High Tops mentioned. He's never found a good serrated edge, and then made a comment, or previously made a comment about even if they made a good serrated edge that doesn't look as cheap as that one. This is actually surprisingly good for 1998, man.
So
Like,
they're using a pattern here that honestly Spyderco is super famous for.
yeah,
Like
The
and
old
one big
3 in
one, two
1.
small ones.
The old 3 in 1.
yeah, triple point serrations. They're spider edges they call it. This is very well used. My main problem with serrations, generally speaking, is that they tend to snag on things, and if people press them too hard, you can easily chip the tips. Spyderco's tips are a little bit wider than you see on a lot of other serrations, so they tend to be better supported. And if you're going to be cutting through things for long periods of time, they tend to hold up a little bit better. Um, I don't like partially serrated blades because you lose out on plane edge. But I do like fully serrated blades because the entire thing is like if I want a serrated edge, okay, here it is. But I don't think this is a bad implementation of serrations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next knife.
Yeah, yeah.
Next knife.
We can go to
Yeah.
next knife.
Yeah.
My turn again. Okay.
In Italy. In Italy.
Speaking of fully serrated knives, that's actually the other one that I ended up picking up. Let me see. I had another photo here. Yep, that was another one that got borked off my phone. Here is it next to the lava. The Meerkat. So I didn't actually pick this up for the steel choice, nor did I pick it up because it was fully serrated. I picked it up because it's a weird knife. It's a backlock, but it's got a trick to it. And to my knowledge, this was the only knife produced that operates this way, at least from Spyderco. They call it their Phantom Lock. The idea is that you would press with pressure on your thumb along this ridge, specifically, with your fingers holding the opposite side. This would then push the lock bar, and I thought about recording a video, and I kind of wish I did. Pushes the lock bar out of the way. You can see it raising up there.
You can't actually see it. Yeah.
And it allows you to drop the knife in. It is fun. It's actually more fidgety than it has any right to be. This particular version is Oz 6, although there were versions made in 440C, I want to say. I have that information up. I should be reading it here.
There's a big Spidey wiki page on the Meerkat.
Yes.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, so, which is interesting. So this is an internally designed Spyderco knife. To my knowledge, there's no specific designer named. So this isn't specifically a Sal or Eric Glesser design, necessarily. Yeah, this knife first came out in 2001 featuring 440C. They eventually moved to Oz 6, then to VG10. Later, they had a couple of sprint runs using HAP 40, and then later VTOKU 2. So there's a lot of different variations on this knife out there.
The VTOKU was the sprint runny one and same with the HAP 40, right?
Yeah,
HAP
those
40
were
had
both.
the burnt orange. VTOKU had kind of the gray
always FRN, never G10 or anything else. It was essentially this exact same format. Um, yeah, they came with plain edges as well as the fully serrated. Um,
I
given that
should have
Oz
gotten the Hap
six,
41.
what's that?
I should have gotten the Hap 41.
I know, I know. Yeah, I kind of regret not grabbing that one, but I had other stuff on my plate I wanted to buy first, and then I missed out. But hey, I got a second chance at least. I am
Yep.
actually somewhat happy that I ended up with this particular version because Oz 6 isn't a terribly wear resistant steel to begin with. Very stain resistant. So having it in a fully serrated knife, I don't know, I kind of like it.
So
Not
that one is dated somewhere between 2002 to 2004. Then, according to
yes,
this chart. Cool. Very
yeah.
cool.
2001 to 2002 was the initial run in 440C. Then they did a plain edge in Oz 6, 2002 to 2004.
Yeah, and then
Same
they
as the
did a weird
serrated.
S-shaped. Okay. Yeah.
That
Are
was
you
the other thing.
unlocking it and making it all the way closed?
Yep. Yeah. So when it actually does drop. So there, for whatever reason, this one does slow down slightly. Now, unfortunately, I don't think you can disassemble this knife either. Oh, for the record, you can actually disengage the lock and snap it open as well.
You know
It's
why
silly.
it's hard that it doesn't all the way drop shot without actual force, though. You mechanically, it's because you pushing that handle scale can only go so far. Oh, you can get it to all the way drop shot. Look at that.
Yeah, it's just I think it's just the angle that's going. But
Well, and the scale, you have to push the entire scale over. So to get the lock out of the way enough for it to free fall,
there
it's
is
probably
yeah, and because you're pressing down, you're kind of squishing the handles together, so it's free up here, but without enough momentum, it doesn't always close. But
Yeah.
that's okay. If you give it a little shake, it goes.
That's pretty cool.
It's
Just a quick shout
so
out
silly.
to Dick Richards. He's taken off. Have a good night.
Hey, have a good night, man. Yeah,
Sorry.
and like you say, they did make a reverse S blade, which is why I was carrying this guy, because the Cricket has got their so-called reverse S blade. So if you can imagine this spine with that sort of edge profile, yeah, kind of funky.
I'm sorry. Wait, what? They did an S curve
On a Meerkat. Yep. Only two versions utilizing the Oz 6, but you can get it in plain edge or serrated.
That's the one I need.
It'd be cool to find one.
Yeah.
How many did they produce? Sometimes, yeah, that information is not available. For those of you curious about the sprint runs, it looks like somewhere between 600 and 1200 for each variant.
Which is pretty typical for Spyderco.
The most collectible version, the reverse S blade with the 440C variant, is the one most people look for.
Noted.
So there's an. Hold on, let me read this more closely. They don't say anything in their. Oh, the S blade and the 440C variant. Okay, I get it. That makes more sense. Anyway,
good
yeah,
stuff.
it's a funky
Yeah.
knife. I wish Spyderco would have explored this type of lock disengagement a little bit further. I don't think it was fully refined in the Meerkat. I feel like, because I got to be honest. Okay, for the first thing, yes, you can carry it lefty for lefties rejoice, except if you mirror that motion on the opposite side, it doesn't disengage the lock. You have to do the reverse motion, which is not exactly comfortable.
Yeah, welcome
do it
to my
safely.
life, fucker.
Well, no, that's
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. It's
That's why I bring it up.
so this is an extremely ambidextrous knife in functionality up until you consider how you close the knife. And once again, you can do it. Sure, it's not exactly the most comfortable, but if they could have found a way to implement this with a larger knife and make it more comfortable for both lefties and righties to do, dude, I love this type of mechanism. I love backlocks where it's like a single spring and that's all it is. Like, that's super cool. Very brief tangent before we move on. The other knife this one kind of reminds me of is the Offbeat from CRKT. Same thing. One single piece of steel going all the way up, but instead of pressing down here, you have your thumb move a little lug. And you're yeah, exactly. You're effectively causing the same thing to happen. It's just the means of actuating are slightly different. This is cool shit. I love backlocks. I want to see more innovation with that. It's too bad that they stopped with this. 2004, 2009, whatever the last standard version of this came out in. Um, yeah, but it seems like
Yeah,
the
that'd be
market's moved away from it, so I guess I'll never see, you know. Anyway,
Good times, but weird as hell
next
knife,
knife.
and uh, super big surprise that Joe buys the two weird as hell knives. That's the yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah,
just wait until next time.
So next
yeah.
knife.
Next
Next
knife.
knife in diddlies. So I think we saved
One
the
might
best to
even say
last.
last knife.
I think so.
What's
I
that?
think so.
So one might even say last knife.
Yeah, last night. So last night and I didn't send. Oh, I did send you. Yeah, I sent you two pictures.
You
So
sure did.
weird little score as well. In and around the same time that Benchmade was coming out with access locks, they were also coming out with other cool designs. One of those designs was in 2001. They came out with a knife called the Blue Star. Blue Star.
Yes,
Blue
yes,
Star, yeah.
that is correct. And bam, there it is.
And actually, I say 2001, but it was actually there was first productions in August of 2000. So
Okay.
my mistake. My mistake.
I wonder why they call it the Blue Star.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know why they call it the Blue Star. I don't know at all why they would call it a Blue
That's
Star.
silly. They shouldn't call it that.
So anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
So cool as hell score
Yeah,
Absolutely.
that's freaking awesome. That
on
one
this guy.
is a super neat model.
So this particular model is the BT model. 886 BT to be exact. Because there was an 886. So we're going to dive into the weeds here. It's a good thing we didn't save this one for last because this one has a history that might kind of actually surprise you guys.
Fair enough.
All right.
The
all right,
886 was the original. So the BT is the BT covered blade. Do you know what BT stands for? I heard it's a shitty tungsten nitride coating, basically. Blah, blah, blah. Type of.
I actually don't know what it stands for, but I find that very funny. Yeah.
So there is a thing called BT coatings. They were around in the late 90s, early 2000s. People bitched about them, so they quickly went away. But BT coating is what this one is. With 154 CM, there is another picture there that shows off the fancy first production run model, because, I mean, that's worth looking at, especially when it's 44 out of 1,000, because that's also worth looking at.
A nice low number. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. In the year 2000. So what this is super weird about is they actually came out with several models of these. So there was, in the beginning of 2000, there was a Blue Star, not BT. Now here's where the super weird things messes up, is in the beginning of 2000 when they came out with the 886, not BT, because the code is actually 886 versus 886 BT. The 886 was a silver blade with ATS 34.
Yeah, okay.
Half a year later, they come out with a black blade with 154 CM.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
To my knowledge, this knife actually precedes the Griptilian getting 154 CM.
Cool.
Interesting. Okay.
Something pieces you put together along the way. So not only that, though, is that this is actually based off of another knife called the Dark Star.
Yeah, it is.
That came out in 1999.
Okay.
That model was the Benchmade 880.
Yes.
I don't know if you're giving a rundown on any of these knives as far as pictures goes.
I will pop this one up now just because I found a link to it on the Arizona Custom of a sold variation, the Dark Star.
Obviously, all Auschwitz designs.
All Alan Elschwitz, all dagger, all the time.
Well, this one happens to be half serrated, but I can forgive it. It's pretty
So
cool.
G10 handles with a titanium Walker liner lock. They're given. Yeah, I did take a picture of my own being like 150%, but that's probably new out of the box. So not 100. It's not 100. Never mind.
75?
It's about 100. So anyway,
98.4.
yeah. So first production run in '99. Also in the Dark Star, and I don't know if you're familiar, but there was also an 885, which was a mini Dark Star.
That
Cool.
I did not know. No,
I didn't know that they came out with that, and I don't know what year the mini came out. If it came out in 2000, or they released the mini Dark Star and the regular Dark Star at the same time. I believe they did, right?
I don't think they were that far removed, if anything. Yeah.
Yeah. So the best part about that is let's keep going back in time, and kind of looks like a 530. Yeah, you're right, and especially with the half serrated, the 530 with the half serrated, this blade looks a lot like a 530 with a half serrated. You're right. So if we go back even further, this is actually based off of another Alan Elschwitz design called the Sentinel, which is a larger version of this knife because they had the blue star and the dark star, and then they had the mini dark star, but apparently they needed a dark star XL, which was the Sentinel, which is an 875 for the models.
Yes, I have another link here to show that one off as well.
Now, for a while, a bunch of these pictures are marked 8755, and I got my hopes up that there was an auto version of this, but they're all mismarked. That's an S on the end of the code for a half serrated version. They did not make an auto version, to my knowledge, at least. It got my hopes up as I was diving down this rabbit hole. But yeah, anyway.
You can definitely see.
Go ahead.
You can definitely see the progression.
I gotta say, oh yeah.
I was wondering what the blade length on this bad boy is on the
Sentinel.
On the Sentinel.
Supposedly 3.75 inches. Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. I'm not sure.
Tell you what the blade steel is.
It's very interesting to me that the Dark Star had the star. This one has the cross cut through the G10. And then the Blue Star has both.
Yeah. The evaluation.
Cool. It's kind of neat. I will say, Elschwitz does have a certain style. This is another Elschwitz design where it's like, wow, these lines look terribly similar. Very cool.
And if you look at what was I going to say? Some of the other Benchmade Alan Elschwitz stuff, they all have some of that really slim daggery kind of look to them. But do we want to go deeper into the rabbit hole and say there's another weird little cousin called the Gold Star?
Sure. The Gold Star.
Yeah.
What do you mean by weird little cousin?
It's basically the same knife, just with gold liners instead of blue liners. And now it has the star on it, whereas the original one did not.
What year is that one from?
Just can't type today, Jesus.
I'm not sure about the Gold Star. I'm not sure where it came out. It's got to be in that kind of 2000 to 2002, I'm guessing, 99 to 2001, somewhere in this same category of everything here coming out, right? So,
I mean, I'm getting results for the gold class.
And so that was the last one I was going to dabble on. Was yes, they came out with a gold class Blue Star.
I don't actually see. Well, here, I'll throw up a picture of the gold. Here's the gold class picture you sent. Looks fucking hot, by the way. But I actually don't see any evidence of the Gold Star in my searches here.
Okay, let me see if I can get a model number.
That would be helpful, because the Dark Star has gold liners, so I'm wondering if people are just naming it the wrong thing.
Is that jeweling on the liners?
Paul, don't worry about it. It's
no. Is that what that is? It looks like it's got some color.
I think
it is.
It looks extremely
regular, so I'm going to assume it is.
Cool.
And I think that is from some sort of image where you can get more info on or find more info on the gold class Blue Star.
It's a good looking knife.
I think
Is that the
somebody.
Damascus and the blade too? It's pretty dark. Hard to tell.
Yeah. Um. So this Dark Star, that's 880.
Yes.
Okay, so the 885 seems to be the gold star, according to this worth point listing that I'm finding.
Is that what
Um,
it is?
I guess because what's the number for yours again? The blue star.
886.
Okay, because the eight eight
That makes
five is
sense.
what's giving me that result.
Okay.
Oh
Like I
yeah.
said, I uncovered all of this afternoon after I got home and said I need to do a little homework for our live stream because I've been in the woods for the last 3 days.
Oh wait, hold on a second. So these rabbit holes. Okay, so the 885S is being called the Elishwitz Mini Dark Star on Arizona Custom Knives. But I've got another link saying that this is called the Gold Star. So which is it? I'm
I
confused.
think it's a dark star. I think someone's mislabeling this thing.
Okay.
I think you were right the first time.
It might be a nickname because it's gold liners.
Well, there's a gold star, so it would make sense. Because
Yeah.
the blue star is blue, the dark star is not really dark; it's just gold. So yeah.
Yeah. But then the gold class one and the dark star was
Yeah.
a SHOT Show 1999 is
Cool.
when they came out
Wow.
with the dark star. The blue star, I believe, was a 2000.
You know, now that Benchmade's run out the patent on their Axis lock, and a lot of other companies are starting to show them up, they should go back to making liner locks because there are very few Benchmade liner locks I've handled where I'm like, I wouldn't want this.
Just want to
I,
say
I like Benchmade liner locks.
I win.
Eh,
The age competition.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you were showing that's why I was curious. I'm like, how old is it? Because
Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
this one's getting back there.
Absolutely.
Damascus. Hey,
Oh,
he's
hey, John.
back. There we
Sorry,
go.
sorry, guys. Stream cut out for us for a few seconds there. But we're back. So everything
Yeah.
you said in the meantime is gone. I'm sorry about that.
Okay, so just to reiterate a third time, because Paul and I were chatting, and then we realized that we were not in the live stream. Went to the gold class information there. 3.75-inch blade of Rob Thomas Fireball Damascus blade,
Cool.
carbon fiber scales.
All
Yeah.
right.
It says 875-101. So does that mean that it was made in 2010 as a limited edition?
You are more familiar with Benchmade's SKU
That
number
sounds right.
configurations.
Limited numbers. I think the last 3 digits are normally what year they were made. So 10 years later, they re-released a gold class.
That's actually kind of cool. I like that. I like when Spyderco does that. Sprint runs and such.
Benchmade used to do stuff like that quite frequently, where they'd bring something out of retirement briefly in some fancy, crazy bullshit way. Like they had it wasn't the mini pocket rocket, it was the other Siebert, where they did a gold class, and it was just like, yeah, we just felt like doing it. Here's a ton of fancy work, and
Was a ton of fancy work.
it was a ton of fancy work. Once again, Benchmade, please return to doing liner locks. You guys actually know how to make them really well. It'd be super cool to see more.
So here's the other thing, and they might have done this corresponding, but they did a gold class Sentinel too.
Oh yeah.
875-101.
Hey now. right. Limited run of 200 pieces.
Nice.
Damn. Okay.
That's some limited edition.
Yeah, Fireball Pattern Damascus by Rob Thomas again. So he must have did these as
Dude, those look
Apparently,
like
pair.
the
A pair of them.
scales. That's crazy.
That's a funky looking pattern in that blade.
Just going back and forth between the Sentinel and the gold class blue star, whatever the hell it is.
So now we have a new mission.
Hmm?
I want old gold class shit. It's way cooler than new gold
Dude.
class shit is.
Oh my god. Okay, like the 2 gold class models I actually would love to own at some point are both a liner. Well, no, one's a frame lock, one's a liner lock. The Pinnacle and the Vicar. Both are ridiculous.
The Vicar's
would
a
be
nice. The Vicar's a nice gold class. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I gotta bring it up now.
Cool. Yeah. I don't know
It's-
why Jose is suing, but apparently he is.
We gotta look at this in all its glory. Oh right, I keep forgetting about this.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the weird triple Tonto.
Yeah, they
Nonsense. It's the only thing I don't like about that knife,
it's
and I kind of like it because it's stupid.
You can sharpen it out if you don't like it. Oh, dude, but this thing, oh my god, I want it. There's no way I could afford it, but man,
I know none of us really own them, but we'll dive into a episode of like old benchmade gold classes just to
I'm
drill
game for
on.
it.
there's so
Yeah.
much cool shit there. Absolutely.
This 2018 cat is old.
I mean, we're
Your
getting there.
your knife doesn't count.
Okay, fine.
It's
It's in the long ago, in the
It's
before
in-
time.
In the BC.
Yeah.
yeah, pretty much.
Exactly. OG Red High Top says he's a little sad he didn't hop on the Vicar back in the day. I feel the exact same way. It really legitimately came down to a 452 ZT versus the Vicar. And I went ZT, and I should have gone Vicar.
I'm trying to remember what was out at the time that I chose over the Vicar. I remember that the detent was light enough to the point where I was like, and I wasn't at the point where I was used to modifying knives successfully. So there were. I say that, but I think around that time, I think I did anodize my Phoenix around then, and that was okay. But I didn't feel.
He thinks he's successful at it.
Well, more successful than I was previously.
That's right.
Yeah.
The second penguin would like to talk to you.
Yeah. Well, it can do.
It
some
can
things.
suck it.
Yeah, it can suck it. I was gonna say something much more rude than that. But
I know, but it's after 9, so we're calling it quits, you sons of bitches. That's it.
Yeah. Let's
Absolutely.
just zoom in on that marbled carbon Fruber.
All right,
As we say our
so
goodbyes.
to round out, Paul, you got a Spartaco Crisp Blade and a Kershaw Speedform.
Random task.
Yeah, I keep on calling it a Speedform. That's a different knife.
Yeah, you sure
Yeah.
do.
It's okay. That's okay.
Okay, don't you like how good they look?
You're just
Here,
gonna make yourself disappear.
I'm putting up some photos because Paul's being silly.
That's not. Yeah.
And then
On both.
Joe got a Lava and a Meerkat.
Yeah. They're cute.
Indeed.
They're fun. They're small.
SMOL.
Yeah.
And then round out the trifecta.
Oh, the Turfurker.
The Truffer.
There's his axe first. There's the cool. And there's the blue star.
I think the two are the most similar out of the group of us.
What's that, sorry?
So I think Joe's scores were the most similar out of the three of ours.
Like, similar to each other. Yeah.
I was all over the goddamn map.
Yeah.
Oh, 2 Spatico lockbacks, you say?
Yeah.
Did I tell
With
you?
leaf-shaped blades, small
This is pretty
handles. Yeah.
Well, I will say that as he was our friend Doug there was pulling things out of the bag and pulling stuff out and showing it off. And on both the occasion of the Spyderco Air as well as the ZDP Blur, as soon as he pulled them out and said that they were for sale, I was like, I'll take those.
Yeah.
And it was like, we'll talk price. I'm like, yeah, we'll talk price, but I'll take those. So yeah. Thank you for talking price, because it was fair. It was fair prices. It's
I would say.
Thank you very much
So
for the excellent
Absolutely.
scores and the fun evening of talking about old shit. That hey, it's just awesome. That's a big part of this hobby, is being able to track down some of the old stuff that you just can't find anymore.
100%.
You know, we're
100%.
getting to we're getting to the point now where a lot of cold steel collectors are going to be getting old enough and dying off that we might start to see them see their collections appearing in estate sales, and we're going to start seeing some very funky stuff turn up on eBay again. I'm sure of it. I'm absolutely sure of it.
the next crime documentary is a guy who's murdering for collection's sake, just waiting out estates.
It won't be me. It'll be somebody I've hired.
It's the one you least suspect. That's why it won't be Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's
I
already
already
on the list.
suspect that son of a bitch.
Yeah.
One look at that guy. Oh yeah, he do some shady shit for a cold
Oh,
steel
yeah.
triple action.
We know what's going on there. What do you think of Monterey Bay Old Guards? I picked one up, Wardenclyffe version with titanium scale. Hey, wait, I've got one over there on my sharpening desk. It's a phenomenal knife, Monterey Bay Old Guard. It's great. It's great types. I have one. Not a warning. Drop point. It's in 3 pieces over on my desk, so I'm not pulling it over right now. But the blade's all clamped out before I just reassemble it. So, OG red eye tops, do it. You'll be very happy with the Monterey Bay.
Do you know what's not on Monterey Bay's website anymore that I've seen?
Warney Old Guards.
Back.
Oh,
Are you kidding me?
I haven't. I went recently and I didn't see either one.
I was hoping one of us would get that knife sooner than later. God damn it.
Yeah.
OG red eye tops also gold class 710 McHenry, nice. And if it's the one with the blue C-Tech and the carbon fiber, I actually had a line on one of those earlier this year and I didn't jump on it, so that's fantastic, because they
That's a
made 2 or
sweet
3
score.
gold class 710s.
Yeah, it's almost like they realized it was a very well respected and well loved design, and then they killed it off anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, I
Look,
shouldn't let that one go.
All I'm saying is if it was down between the 940 and the 710, I think they made the wrong choice. But that's okay.
I have both. It's fine.
That's the right answer.
Yeah. All right. All right. Paul's disappearing again. I know. He's just playing off with random knives for no reason. I don't know. It's doing shit. It's 10 after 9. Let's go home. Fuck.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All
That's
right.
why I'm playing with random knives.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just like, oh, we're that point of the night. All right. Yeah.
Hey, look, it's a Benchmade lineman.
I guess we don't have to thank the Cutting Edge this week for obvious reasons.
Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Doug, for cool scores. Keep on bringing in the cool scores, because I didn't pay enough money for these knives. I did. Straight up, it was robbery. It was robbery. It was great. Yeah. I'll do it again. You sons of bitches.
I'm gonna do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
Quick shout out to all the 1,019 or so followers on Instagram. I made a comment last week where that we were losing people. That is not the case. We have actually gained people, so it's even more confusing to me. But here we are.
Good times, good times. Thank you to everyone on Patreon that continues to subscribe to us month after month. Everything you've given to us is just coming back to you guys as a Christmas 2020 tree. Thank y'all. Tree. It's tree. Not 2023. It's 2023.
I thought you were saying you were going to give them a tree. I was like, okay,
that's what we're going to give. Yeah, like, everything that we've planned in the past. I have my own plans.
I'm fine with this, but the shipping is going to be stupid expensive. I'm just telling you now.
No, we're just gonna send like walnuts in the mail.
It's just an assembled. Oh, I was thinking. I
was just gonna do 1-800
pieces of the tree.
1-800 flowers with a spruce tree, some shit. It's
Look, if that's a service they're willing to provide, I will partake.
I guarantee there's trees on one end and flowers. We can figure that shit out.
I'll mail, I'll mail, I'll mail people's trees. I'll give them the most confusing
Just
fucking
money
day of their
trees to
lives.
everybody.
Well, apologize in advance. You'll have to plant it in honor of the Pokey Factory. It'll be the worst. You're like, this son of a bitch, I've been growing for 20 years. Anyway,
They gave me a chore. This is nonsense.
yeah, can't
Oh,
just throw this out.
It was a gift.
All right. Yeah. Like, subscribe, share. We're not back next week. I got prior activities. So, yeah,
Indeed.
we will
Things are
see
happening.
you all in August.
sometime,
Alrighty.
someplace, probably 2 weeks from now.
Same Pokey time, same Pokey channel.
Same Pokey Factor.
It's never the same factor. That factor changes all the time.
I was gonna say it's the Pokey fuckers.
Oh well,
That's it.
That's a different channel too.
I was gonna say
That
so-
channel also changes all the time.
Fair point. Fair point.
All right, guys.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great week. We won't see you next week. We will see you all in August. Until then, enjoy your time. Have fun with knives. Go buy some old cool stuff for cheap prices because that's cool. I am who I am. I'm Dennis Fibers.
I am the Iron Joe.
And I'm xl.ca.
Thanks once again, guys. We'll see you not next week.
Not next week.
I was just gonna make a comment saying, "Please get us the hell out of here," and then you started the outro, so shut up.